live. We're live, guys. All right, cool. All right, we're going to get started here. Let's see if Mr. Ross Gates has joined. Mr. Ross Gates. Mr. Ross Gates. Very good. Very good, sir. Welcome. Welcome to the conversation. You have been promoted to a panelist. You're on mute and you have your camera off. Let's get started anyways. Welcome, everybody. This is the today's show of the Masters of Marketing. It's 10:30 a.m. Pacific, and that's something on the East Coast. There's some math over there I'm going to not do. Actually, it's 1:30, so Eastern. All right, so today I'm really excited to present a topic that I think has really shaped how I look at the world time and time again on terms of like startups and creating a business, or even how to go after a market. Ross is saying, hey, Ross.
Hey, what's up? I'm here.
Okay, good. I didn't hear you yet. I didn't see your pretty face. Look at that. Awesome. Ross is here. So once again, shaping ideas and creating the swim lanes, because there's an infinite amount of things that you can do in this world, but most of those things that you do are going to be wrong and not aligned to your goals and your perspective of like pushing you through forward. And so this article is from a famous VC, Mark Suster. Most startups should be deer hunters. And I have to say, this is one of those articles, and this is one of those kind of ideas and concepts that really clarified a lot of the thinking that I had gone through. I was about probably 4 or 5 years in to running my second or third startup by the time like this one came along. And I was just thinking like, I always kind of felt it, but it was something that was like important to me. That it's one of those things like when someone ever like posts about or like clarifies and has the clarity of thought to say what you're thinking, even though you're not actually saying it, it's just one of those amazing experiences that like speaks to your soul, and you're like, yes, this is me. I should be a deer hunter. I should not hunt elephants. I should not hunt mice. And somebody's probably like, who's never heard of this article before, what in the heck are you talking about? So let's dive into it. So elephants, these are, in this metaphor, these are these big enterprise, juicy clients. Think of like IBM or government contracts, AT&T, Microsoft is their examples right here. Something like 5,000 people or 5,000 licenses that you have to support. Big giant behemoths that are multi-million-dollar contracts. These sales cycles can take like 12, 18 months to work, or even longer. And once you land it, it's like millions of dollars a year in contract. And you're like, oh, that's great. Let's do that. Ross, should we do that?
No, we shouldn't start with that. Maybe eventually.
Right. But the key question, yeah, the customer service, the configuration, the customizations that require you to hunt a lion and eat a lion, like it's not necessarily hunting the lion. It looks like my internet's unstable. This is not good. But it's not about hunting the lion that's difficult. It's really about eating the lion. Okay? What does it take to actually eat the lion? I'm sorry, eat the elephant. It's not about hunting the elephant. It's about eating the elephant. It takes a ton of customer service. It takes a ton of customizations. And what ends up happening is that you get really, really good at eating a lion. When you're a small company, maybe you have 2 or 3 people on the team, maybe you have 7 people on the team. And as you eat the lion, you're the whole entire focus of your company and all of your resources are about serving that customer. So not only are the sales cycles super long, you don't know if you can get another one. When you do get that one, you have to build an organization around serving the elephant, and you're not really serving your own organization for growth. You're really looking at, you get sucked into the client and all of the requests become really.
So it really turns you from a startup into an agency, because once you have this one client, like your main client, everything you're doing is for them as an agency. It's really hard to scale because you're happy with millions of dollars coming in. And what's the point of possibly losing this client when you have something steady?
Right. I mean, we're kind of in a similar situation with some of our clients right now. Eat up of like 50, 60% of our time. It's amazing. And very grateful for the revenue and everything, but it does distract us from the long-term kind of growth that you need. Okay, so here we go. The next piece, equally deceiving, are rabbits. There's so many of them. This can be a consumer product, something that you make necessarily need to sell millions of to get enough revenue to actually make a company. I think about like CPG goods, think about something like with a freemium model, think about Slack, like very, very hard to do unless you have like some extreme growth curves. Very little money from a whole lot of customers and consumers. The scale per revenue per customer, you still have to have a decent amount of customer support that you would for hunting an elephant, but there's so many rabbits that you need to feed yourself, to feed the whole team, and the revenue that's generated per rabbit is so small that the structures and infrastructure that you have to have in place is extremely capital intensive usually, right? So
because you have to scale really far before the unit economics work out, because you're making so little money when you have a few people, you're spending a bunch of money on servers that are being underutilized, so you're prepared when you grow.
Yeah, you've over engineered a product for scale until you actually hit that scale. Now if it works, it's amazing. Like it's an examples that they have in here is like Twitter, Facebook, Zynga. These are like outright like multiple billion-dollar companies, and it's really, really difficult to consistently do over and over again. You're basically what I like to call like the LeBron James Guitar Hero. So like there's only one LeBron James. There's like one Twitter, one Facebook, one Zynga. And what you're doing is you're playing a hits-driven business. So if you think about what a hits-driven business is, think about like LeBron James or Guitar Hero. Let's start with LeBron James. Every year, there's another 1 million to 10 million people that start to play basketball. And there's another 1 million companies that get started to serve a consumer market. And like once every 10 or 20 years, you get a LeBron James. So if you kind of like do that calculation, he's not like 1 in 10 million. He's 1 in like 200 million, right? Which actually equates to like, yeah, maybe there would have been like one more LeBron James in the United States. There's 330 million people, but the numbers add up, right? So it's not 1 in 10 million. It's not 1 in a million. It's 1 in 200 million chance if you go after becoming a basketball player, or if you go after kind of these, there's only one Facebook every 10 years. There's one Twitter every 10 years, one Zynga, right? So it's like a 1 in 10 million chance for you to like go consumer, hit that growth curve, time it completely right. Rabbits are really, really hard. Yeah. Questions, comments?
Is there a version of this where you go halfway if you want to make something consumer, but you don't shoot for the $1 billion company, you shoot for the $100 million company, and you can still do what you're passionate about with a higher chance of success?
Yeah, I think the way that this is looked at is venture capital won't invest in you, right? So basically it's about the growth curve, right? And you can, if you showing a growth curve, like I think, Jake gave a great example yesterday, like White Claw. He did it before with like Mad Dog or Mike's Hard Lemonade, right? So it was an entrepreneur that had did it before in the past, and they have a target market. They've proven excellence. You can like look at getting investments, but if you're working on the consumer angle, it's a very, very linear growth curve most of the time, and that's not what startups are supposed to be. You want to have that drastic growth curve, and so you can make a linear business. You can, I have a friend who started a yoga mat business, and they were doing well, and like they did one shipment full, did a second shipment full, and then at that point in time, the amount of time that it took into linearly driving up those sales projected out, it was going to take 5 years to make like basically do it full time in 5 years to make $100,000 a year. And it's like, wow, should I invest in the next 5 years of my life into selling yoga mats to get to like 100K a year, and like that they could pull from the business? And do I really want to do that? And if you're in a place, maybe not in a major metropolitan area, maybe you're in, like I don't know where like there's a really like low end market. Maybe I don't really want to call any city out, but let's just say you're in maybe Detroit. I know that they're known to not have like really a lot of economic opportunities. That idea or that concept might be a really good place to start that type of business where it'll take you 5 years to get there. But in most cases, if you're starting a new business, you don't want to put yourself on a 5-year trajectory until you can pay yourself enough to go full time.
Right. I feel like that's a lot of mistakes that college students make, where they join a startup that's like, we're not going to pay you, we're just going to give you some equity. And once you leave college and you learn how the startup world works, you really need to take some money out of the business to pay yourself. Otherwise, there's no incentive for the business to go on for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Totally. And there's we'll go over this article other time, but the concept is really simple. Startups don't run out of money. Founders run out of money. Like, that's why businesses fail. It's because the founders run out of money. So let's go back to what we should hunt. Did you have something to say?
Yeah, I was going to say, so can you just elaborate on that? If startups don't run out of money, founders do, what happens? Like, the startup gets
they go get a job. Like, that's it. If the startup runs out of the money and the founder has money, the founder can keep pushing forward. They can keep generate revenue. They can give equity to the team. But when the founders run out of money, like, they need to go get jobs. They got, maybe if they don't have families, sure. If they have a good support system and they have a big pile of cash from before, or they've family support system in place, you can continually go for a couple of years until you make it. But most of the time, when a company folds, it's that the founder.
It's the person leading that company is going to get a job because they took their shot, they miss, and now their finances are upside down and they need to go support themselves.
Yeah.
Got it.
There's another way. I mean, I could talk about selling a company. I sold a company because I hated the company. I was done with it. It was a company that I built, and I saw all the glaring mistakes that I did. I ran it for like 5-6 years, and then by year 5, 6, I was just done, dude. It was like an ex-girlfriend that I didn't want to like be around, see, or touch, and every interaction with it became like this like icky feeling, and I'm just like, I didn't want to do it anymore. And that's the time to get out as well.
That's not like running out of money. That's just running out of initiative, and you want to go on to the next thing.
Yeah, that's what I did. I sold it and went right into the next thing. I gave myself, I think, like 2 days to celebrate. Like, and then I was like right next on the next startup.
I think that's funny when everyone's like, yeah, I sold my company. I'm going to go sit on a beach for 5 years. And 2 months later, they're like, I'm so bored. Started my next company.
Dude, 2 months. Like, most founders I know, it's like a week and they're gone to the next thing. They sell their company and they're like, then they're hunting. Like, all right.
Are they hunting deer?
I think if you're onto your second company, you can kind of choose what you want to do better. But deer's always is an obvious way. And let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that.
So deer, I want to tell a story too. So I have a meeting. I had a meeting with a venture capitalist that had a slightly different example on deer, but deer are, companies where they're mid-sized companies. They could be SMB companies with bigger budgets. The amount of customer support and development services around like, how do you when you prepare a deer to eat are not, there's enough meat to feed a whole family. I think these are in the like $500 to $5,000 a month range in terms of kind of like MRR, or like if you think about it in terms of ARR, 6,000 to like 60,000 ARR. Once you get up into 100,000, you're going to have to really prepare. They start to turn into elephants after like 100,000 plus. The sales cycles go longer. You have to have preparation. And some of our other Masters of Marketing shows, we were talked about how companies go up market. And so what ends up happening is like maybe you start like hunting rabbits, but quickly you like realize that you can't scale out of it, and then you have to go up market, and you have to get your $100 a month kind of $100 a month customers, and you have to move on to the next one, which is the deer, which is like your $1,000 a month customer, and then your elephant would be $10,000, $100,000 a month customer and above. And so the deer metaphor basically says that there needs to be enough meat on the bones and enough revenue there to power customer support, power sales, but not so onerous where it shifts your whole entire company to focus on consuming that particular animal and that particular customer and supporting that customer. And I think it's a really good metaphor. Now, a meeting that I had, this is about a year ago, we were doing this thing in voice, and he wanted to invest in voice, and he basically said to me, which really actually works in this facsimile, in this metaphor here, is that when you build a software, and this is, we're talking about SaaS in particular, and when you build a technology in SaaS, it can't be something that people can build in-house, right? So the enterprise company, the elephant, if you will, has enough money, has enough budget to hire a development team and build whatever they want in-house, right? So if you're competing with it, like you're really competing with in-house developers, and that's not a really good place to be. Now, once again, the really small companies, they can't afford that, right? So they basically can't afford your product or service, and they can't sustain you. So the way that he said it was, whenever you go to a market, you have to have a lot of like small to medium sized businesses there to put your software in. So something could be like, a thought process could be like, gyms, right? There's a lot of gyms in the United States. Building software for gyms might be an interesting target. They're not elephants. They all kind of work the same. They have very similar needs, and the customer support would be the same across pretty much every gym, state by state, across the country. And there's such a wide variety of them, or a big enough market that you can feed yourself off that. So if the middle market is wide and varied, that could be a good target. But if you don't have a middle market, and I'll tell on us, we built the product for podcasters, and podcasters who I thought were deer are actually rabbits. They're hobbyists. They don't make any money, right? So if they don't make any money, they don't treat it like a real business. We built a product for YouTubers. Guess what? YouTubers don't make any real money. You have elephant YouTubers that are like the Joe Rogans and the Mr. Beasts of the world, and those type of guys. But 99% of the world are rabbits. There's no budget in there. So when you're kind of like figuring out what product to sell, like it's a good framework to kind of think about your audience and think about your target market before you actually go and serve them. Are they real businesses? Do they have a real problem? And do they have budget for that solution?
And that's how we ended up on startups, because they're not rabbits. They have money, and they make money, and they're easy to help. Just the thing about deer also I want to say is, instead of having that $100,000 client where it's hard to scale to multiple, having a $6,000 client and you want to make $100,000 a month forces you to look at the market and say, like gyms, who are the other 10 people that are exactly like this business? So that when you're actually making your product, you can make it unique, but you can make it broad enough so that those 6 other people who are similar can use the same exact product, instead of developing something for $100,000 client where you put all these little features in it that nobody else is going to use.
Right.
So it's a good thought experiment.
Cool. All right, I'm going to do a little plug here for Get Little Black Book. We are about to go live with this new plugin. We got some like little design thing. Moving on. Any other questions before we move on?
Nope.
All right, cool. So I'm gonna take a look at this dude. So we're building this Chrome extension called Little Black Book, and essentially here, if this guy is legitimately like, and we can find the information. Maybe I should just go to my own profile where I know it actually works. The information will pop up here. It's a Chrome extension. It's free. You basically build it, and we built it, and we're going to help people with this Chrome extension. It gets your connections off of LinkedIn, and we do have some design changes to. I love it when you do a live demo, and it doesn't work. Yeah, isn't that the best?
It's better to an audience than a client.
There you go. So here you go. If you look at my profile, here's my emails. It pops up. It also have my phone number and all of my emails. And all of those emails I can confirm with you are correct. These are all current emails of mine. And so, we have a pretty high hit rate, and it's a free tool. We're going to help design this a little bit better, have like a little bit more information in here. And over time, you can just click around, and we're going to be building our database as well. So if something comes in like Garrett Johnson here, if he doesn't pop up, and it doesn't look like he's popping up, or this Andre Ballerini guy, well, then over time, we're going to be building our database and building some tools to help get the profiles that people want. So it's pretty cool. You can go to getlittleblackbook.com, and Sam Altman at Y Combinator. Great. Now we know his email, president at Y Combinator. And I just wanted to throw a little plug in there about Little Black Book, getlittleblackbook.com. It's one of the tools that we're building to help you do sales and marketing for your company and help you to succeed and success and all that good stuff.
Nice. I'm excited to use it. I've been waiting weeks. We should have some background music too when we talk about our products, just so like Gimlet Media, it's obvious that it's like a short interlude talking about something that we want to promote.
Yeah, it's really cool. Oh, cool. So I just completely wiped out my next topic. So I'm going to need like 30 seconds to find it again. And I was on it, and I was trying to do it on that guy. Give me 1 second. Ross, what's your plan for today?
My plan for today is I'm writing out how to improve the actual page for this live stream. I'm looking at a couple of other websites and having our designers take all of the designs that already exist for our website and just kind of repurpose them into a better layout. I've had talks with a lot of people who want to present on here, and they all want a place to drive traffic for their audience. So they want somewhere that looks just clean cut, has their picture. Well, right, but they want a sign up page for this live webinar. So we can post all the videos in Alpha Voice afterwards and stuff, but I'm just starting with that and then going to more networking, and there's a lot to do.
Yeah, so why don't we take a look at this later today? I think this popped up, and I want to, before I go on the growth hack, we're going to close on the growth hack. We're going to close strong. Let's try this one out, because if I look here on this Drift kind of virtual summit, this is going to a cool revenue and growth virtual summit coming up on April 16th to April 17th. A lot of great speakers here. Let's get to the speakers page. Vice presidents of marketing. We know Dan from Sendoso. He's rad. Bunch of people. I think G is going to be here. Boom, G. He's rad. He's an awesome guy. Knows a lot of stuff about growth hacks and growth marketing. Really good stellar cast, and they're using this service called On24. And so why don't we take a look and see if we can build some quick landing pages with On24 versus Zoom. Zoom's been great. It's been a little unstable today, but if we can do the same things, where we can stream to Facebook, we can stream to YouTube. I think On24 might be a good solution. It's more specialized for the webinar. So let's take a look at that. All right, and the final thing we're going to go over today, which is I don't want to say like Voldemort, but this guy Voldemir, right? has this hack, and this is the case study of the day of how you crazily increase engagement. So I don't know this guy. I didn't know this guy yesterday when he posted my name in here, but he picked me out for some reason. He goes, and he puts his post, and it's got this nice pretty picture. It has LinkedIn, and people are like, oh, it's a pretty picture. It's got the name, and like this post, follow and connect. To post, open to connect, let's connect. Now, this post is insane. It's gotten 368 engagements, 367 comments. And so my inbound connections over the last 24 hours, I've had over like 100 people inbound as connections. And so this is a perfect example of like how to write an engagement. Uh-oh, we got somebody in the chat. Yeah, dude. Yeah. So probably like 20 or 30,000 views on this post. So he tagged a bunch of people that have like a lot of connections, right? He asked them to engage with them. And I was like, I'm going to go through the experiment and figure it out, what's going on here. I engaged with it and I got 100 inbound connections. So this is one of those things where engagement on LinkedIn is the #1 driver of their algorithm. So if you can write a proposition or have a piece of media or have a piece of content that you can push out and use the engagement of the post and of the media to essentially drive the awareness, you're going to go viral on LinkedIn. And he really like checked all the boxes here.
That's awesome.
And he started tagging more people. But the reality is by the time he came, I mean, there's 368 comments. We're not going to go through it all, but he sat there for a day and engaged with all of it, right? And everybody, and that engagement on that post, and he just probably sat there for 24 hours. I think now the downside of this, sure, I got another 100 connections. The quality of the connections started to deteriorate over time. So I woke up to a lot of connections I actually don't really need or want. I was in some of these like SEO groups, or kind of in this vein of like, like offshore, like link building services that are not necessarily like have much value. And they just try to waste your time and say, hey, buy my links. So the quality of the connections is not something that's going to be very high. If you're offering some sort of a piece of content, a paywalled video, something that people deem valuable, that's exclusive, you can use the same tactic to help grow your connections, your audience, and have people share as well.
Can you pull up BAMF, their Facebook group?
Yeah.
They did something similar, which I think is really valuable, where their pinned post at the top of their Facebook page just says, this is our Facebook group. If you want to connect with anyone on LinkedIn, just drop your LinkedIn URL here, and everyone else in this group will reach out to you. And in the last year, I think they've had 900 people put their LinkedIn URL there. And in all time, they've had 2,500 people drop their LinkedIn URL.
Boom.
And what I did is I just went and
2,000 comments. Oh my gosh.
I just copied every single person's LinkedIn URL and started reaching out to the most recent, and started a great conversation with a guy that does machine learning advertising at YouTube, and just a bunch of other people in growth. And it was really valuable for me because I want to connect with all these people.
So what you're saying is, not only can you use this tactic for engagement to grow your post and your channel, on that channel, you can also go through and connect with everybody who dropped a link in this particular example, and connect with them and start conversations.
Yeah. Also, I think it's kind of funny. Like, I know Tom Polanski, so
Isn't that weird?
It's weird that what I
He's
put
in
mine
Poland,
up,
right?
Right, but I put mine up, and then he saw that I put mine up, so he put his up. So it seems pretty self-perpetuating.
Yeah, I'm in there somewhere.
Hey, guys, I just want to make Jake here. I just want to make a quick comment in regards to LinkedIn posting. I think a lot of people may get intimidated by it, but I just called out one of my friends who's a founder of a company, and just put in like 3 hashtags saying, hey, he's helping universities with studies, complete COVID studies. I'm like, yeah, that's great for him. I reposted, just be like, hey, like, this is what he's doing, just because I want to shout out to him. And then I became trending and actually hashtag research, right? So like I got maybe like a couple thousand views on that post, and I did not mean for that to happen. It took me 2 seconds. And so it's a pretty interesting mix to get that virality in there, and there's like good structures, but even just putting something random and experimenting, like you can increase people, top of funnel people connecting with you and kind of seeing what you're about. So yeah, it's pretty incredible. Just 2 seconds of work can get you thousands of views on a post and random people to engage with you.
For sure. The thing that I would add to that is everyone likes to hear a good story about the path that someone took that they wish they took. I put in an hour to write a post just about what I came to do in San Francisco, and I expected some of my friends to care, and suddenly 20,000 people had viewed it. That's never happened to me again, but I would encourage everyone to tell their story if they want a bunch of people.
Don't worry, Ross. It'll happen again. You'll get those 20,000 views again.
Yeah, how many? 28,000?
No, it's like 20,000 views. And then I made another post that was like similar, and I only got 3,000 views. And so it's not really predictable, but when it blows up, it is like, wow, this is amazing. This worked.
Didn't you feel bad after you got those 3,000 views? You were like, oh man, you wanted more, right?
I kind of expected the same recipe to work again.
Yeah, it didn't work the next time. Yeah, I think there's a little bit of like atrophy and burn from your family and friends. Like as you post, when you first post, everybody's like hyper engaged and they're like very super supportive because you don't post that often. But once you become kind of like this individual who's posting a bunch, like you can't really rely on your family and friends, and that's when you have to build like a real audience that's like committed to and interested in what you're talking about. And also I think also Ross, like in those 2 months from the post to post, their algorithm changed a bunch because Josh Fetcher got completely banned from LinkedIn for pretty much the rest of his life. He tried to break another profile and it also got banned. They banned him for exploiting the algorithm for his broetry that you were doing.
How did that exploit the algorithm?
So it was too good, right? The algorithm overemphasized engagement to the point where his things were being showed like 300,000 times. Now he did have like 10,000 connections, 20,000 connections, and he had a whole bunch of other people sharing it to get the ball rolling in an engagement pod. But after the engagement pod got to the certain point, literally like 300,000 people in the world saw his one post, right? Those types of numbers are worth like thousands and thousands of dollars. Like that's probably worth like, I don't know, $10,000 worth of advertisement that he did for free by exploiting their algorithm.
My question though is like, how is that against the rules? How is that exploiting?
Oh, that's not what he got banned for.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Because like, that sounds awesome. I have my friends share my posts every time I put up a post, and I would encourage everyone else to do the same because it plays into the algorithm. So
he was using some automation tools and some connection automation tools, which you have to be very, very careful about on LinkedIn. You don't want to be doing automated tools, and they'll ban your account. They'll warn you again. You get caught like 3 or 4 times, and especially if you're not paying for sales nav. So if you're gonna do some of these automation things, I 100% recommend paying for their service, your sales nav service. Don't try to go 100% free because you're a customer. Now you're saying, you're basically telling them there's a feature missing from your product, and I'm using this other technology for that feature missing from your product.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. That's all I got for today.
It is April 2nd, 2020, 11:04. We're going to end it. We might do 30 minutes from now on. We may not do an hour. This was awesome. Any closing remarks, comments, questions? Cool.
I think this is awesome. I think shorter is you can be up, emotional, really engaged for a shorter amount of time, speak faster, and we'll work up to an hour.
Sounds good.
Cool.
And remember, startups should hunt deer. We'll have the slides in the Facebook group, and we'll post some other links there. All right. Thanks everybody for coming.
Thanks.
All right. Later.